Okay, same day. Now it's like 8:45. February 19th of 2026. Do you see that little whatever that is? I can't really see it that well because it looks like it's like actually almost right up in my driveway. If you notice what's going on here with that, when the city of Surrey came in January of last year, it said it's illegal to park there. Well, everybody else can park in their yards, have millions of cars, and all the way from block to block to block, 15 cars right in front of their house, even if it's a small rancher and it doesn't even have asphalt. Doesn't matter, they got a whole bunch of cars over there, a whole bunch, right, cars. It's okay, but not my house. No. It's illegal for anybody to park a car right there, because they cater to these property developers. That's what I'm trying to say. Hold on a minute. Okay, so my clothes. Pretty sure that's my clothes. My clothes. Probably my clothes. I'm sorting out stuff in here. This is the bedroom. It came the overflow as I was putting food into my room because I couldn't get downstairs, yada yada yada. I'd bring all the fabric in here, my clothes in here, books in here. These are bags for Tisha to go through because she might be having another baby. So whatever. And this is where I want to get into right here. Take the books from there. There's a light that can go downstairs. I'm not going to put the my clothes in the bedroom yet because honestly, I need to do a few other things first. Take out some of those craft things, take out the stuff from along the wall so I can move the hanging rack. Probably empty out the books, so some of these sweaters and stuff that I'm not allowed to keep. And if I am, if somebody says, oh no, you're allowed to keep your clothes. Yeah, but for how long? And how many am I allowed to keep? And is there a specific kind? Being that some people see it as all garbage anyway. You know, and that's not my messaging, people. That's the messaging that's being thrown at me so that, you know, the ones that are accumulating for themselves, whatever it is that they're accumulating, doesn't matter if it's houses, gold bullions, cars, gold rings, and those kind of things. Whatever. You know, it's okay for them, but not okay for me. Because it doesn't have enough quote-unquote value on it. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So anyway, I've been up for 9 hours already. I started at 2. You can see what happened there with the video that's converting over, which will be uploaded as soon as that's done. And I have a choice. I can either lay down and go to sleep for a little while. Good luck. As the heart's going like this because we're waiting for doomsday. You know, fire department's coming soon. Right? Are they coming by themselves or are they coming in with their crew? You know, the gang stalkers. Are they all coming together at one time or are they, you know, like what's happening? We don't know. So Andre and I last night were eating sushi trying to pretend that we had a normal life for a few minutes. Anyway, I'm going to start in here. I'm just going to attempt to do something even though I'm extremely tired. And yeah, my eyes are not responding well to all this stress of being overworked, but that's, I guess, part of the game. Because they know I just had surgery. They know what kind of surgery I had, right? From my understanding, I think they had just bypassed and went straight and contacted my doctor, eye doctor, even without me giving them to sign a permission form to do that. I think they've already did that because when I was listening to that conversation that I had with that woman that came to my house to tell me all this crap, I think she said that they already did contact and they're going to talk to him. So I don't know. All I know is it's 1984. And they're getting ready to turn me into Soylent Green and sell me to the public as a power bar. All right, in terms of carbon neutral. So, and because I keep the house warm for Amari, right? And moths, when I buy groceries, doesn't matter if it's from Walmart or Canadian Superstore, the moths, they always get in. They went away for a little while. I brought some groceries, and moths are back. So I'm having to deal with moths, right? Because the house is warm, and they like it when it's warm, right? So I'm spraying the stupid shit, right? And I got to be careful with that, right? I can't spray it that way too much so, I'm coming into contact with that as I'm spraying and I'm touching, and then maybe I'm going like this. I don't know. I don't know what's making everything wonkers. So anyway, I'm just going to move this stuff, move that, and that's where I'm going to take out the Winnie the Pooh phone. Do you see the Winnie the Pooh phone? I'll put the Winnie the Pooh phone downstairs. It actually works. And take out that light and start bagging up books. Because in that corner it's just basically, like there's a pink bear there, and those things can go down today, hopefully at some point. And then just basically fabric with some clothes at the bottom of the bunk there, and some, like my old outside running around the house clothes, where these clothes in here were the ones from my dresser drawer. So hold on. Okay. You can see better than me. I'm up by Shamay's piano here. Is this going to be a problem? Right? Not feeling that great, people. No. Now, mind you, I've been up for 9 hours. But besides that point, this is the shit that's getting me into trouble. What this is, old batting from somewhere, to which I keep, because you just never know when you might need it. Whether I was to make stuffed animals with my grandkids, because I got patterns for those, or whether I used it for those bean bags that I've been thinking about for quite a long time, really. Because again, you don't have to use beans just for them. But this is the stuff that's getting me into trouble, because it starts to end up like this. But if you notice, I'm getting almost enough for a big ass bean bag, especially, oh wait, that's not even it. This is something else. There's another bag in there with this crap. This is blankets and stuff, and a pillow, so it can go downstairs. Either or, you can use foam, batting, old pieces of fabric, right, to fill up bean bags. I almost have enough. That's the stuff that gets me into trouble, because, it takes up space. And because I never have time to do anything outside of that daily grind. There we go. Eyes got bad over the last 2 days and a bit. I'm kind of scaring myself, but I can't stop. No. Because if I stop, then I allow them to win. I concede. I don't concede. I pushed a button here, and I kind of changed the tone. Grand piano, chorus, organ. I just want it normal. I don't know how to make it normal. I don't know how to use this. No. Where it's just normal. normal. Give me normal. Mark Twain said when he took that 100-year-old piano out, busted all up because it was in the way. Well, you weren't playing it. I said, actually, yeah, I was when you were downstairs, not around. I was. You just weren't there to hear me do it. Anyway, I still have this one, but I don't know how to play the piano, so. I'm afraid to touch a button. I don't even know how this works. Grand piano 2. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, re, do. Do, 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 do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Okay, so we're getting to it. Right here. That's going downstairs. These are my clothes. I'm not putting them in the playroom right now until after I get some room. By probably, well, yeah, I showed you the shelving units that I want to move. The only reason these clothes are in my room is because I was locked out of the basement. I had food upstairs that needed to go downstairs. I wasn't allowed to do it in terms of food storage. Anything. It was a big kerfuffle with that girl. I found a broom. Perfect. And because of that, eventually I just got fed up with it and I started clearing out my room of all my paperwork, because I had all my paperwork in there at one point, right? That's the original War Room 1, when I was fighting when Sierra was pregnant and stuff. And then in 2010, after Andre was born, and then okay, right, and nonprofit and everything, right? So eventually I had to move most of that into my new office, which is, you know what that's like, to accommodate my home canning goods, whatever it was I was doing. Yeah, because I got locked out of the basement. And I don't know what to do. So this is what I'm left with. Because as I was putting things in there, I was bringing things out. Now don't forget, Smash and Grab Rhea, where am I? Smash and Grab Rhea went through this and robbed me in here as well. Some beautiful fabric she robbed from in here, people. And like I said, before my daughter will come and help me, she'd rather hang out with that girl. Whatever. Now, when my son was throwing stuff out from the basement, I had clothes down there that used to, fit Andre, and then I put him down there as Amari was to grow, and then it ended up coming back upstairs. that's for Amari when he gets a little more bigger, which I'm filling up as I'm finding it. I got a big ass bag for Tisha to go through if she wants, because maybe she's having another baby, I don't know. I won't even waste my time giving anything to Amari Kane, because I will just be insulted. This is for Amari. The problem with Amari, though, I don't know if you can see this, he go like this. So, but I'll keep it for Amari, right? Why not? And then when Amari doesn't need it or can't use it anymore or whatever, I don't know, maybe Kyrie will play with it downstairs, but Kyrie tends to break everything. So you got to be very careful what Kyrie plays with. Yeah, because he breaks everything he touches. Like, literally, you don't even know. Right? Or maybe Marquez might want it, if he can sneak it home and lie as to where it came from. Yeah, what is this? More baby stuff. I could sell that. That's when you carry the baby in the front. But I have a daughter, so I'm going to give it to the daughter. And if she doesn't want it, if she doesn't need it, she can give it to Marquez. And if they don't want it, they can throw it out or give it to somebody else. So that's baby stuff. That's out of here. For what it's worth. What a sick world we live in. Seriously. Okay, my goal is to get this out, but I don't know if I can do that, because there's things in the way. My clothes. I just don't want to move them. Well, I could move them in there, honestly. Look at this book. I was going to give it to Marquez, but I changed my mind. It's a book with sex positions in it. That's all it's about. Just sex positions. All kinds of different sex positions. You can't see them anymore. It's an old book. Very old. Anyway, that's what that book's about. And then we've got fondue. Maybe we'll do fondue downstairs. That'd be fun, hey? I have fondue things too. And then of course I like to keep this for Andre. Right? And there's a nice word book. I'm packing up books right now. I'm keeping those ones up though, because, you know, whatever. And here's some stuff for Amari. Right? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't want to make a huge mess downstairs and then get ragged on about that, because you know that's what will happen, because that's how I get set up with this shit. I don't get a lot of help. If I get help, they scatter. Make it worse. Harder to organize. And then they accuse me of whatever, because I can't do it fast enough. Because they basically go from spot to spot. Can we get this out without having to move anything too much? Oh, maybe. Come on, God, work with me today. I'm tired. There we go, look at that. So we got that out. That's good. Yep, there we go. Wonderful. So that's going downstairs. I don't have to buy a light. I got an extra light. That's good. I have a lot of just kid stuff. It's all so much kids. So, but the eye's not doing well at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the membrane isn't pulling away. Yeah, maybe. And as for Andre and I, scared with the police showing up, that would only be because of the threatening nature of things, and how it's kind of like just springing up out of nowhere, you know, and it's very threatening. And being that I've already mentioned that if shit hits the fan and blah, 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 I'd file a report of theft with the police. So what better way to knock me out from that than to bring the police with you so that I couldn't file a report because they've already cited, because they're biased and they're working with the, fire department and child protective. So therefore, they wouldn't take a report even if you wanted to. File one, that is. Because they've already made their stand. Right? So, whatever. Now, this is for computers. And I got a lot of computers to clean the CD drive and stuff, right? That's to clean the CD drives and shit. So, that's why I keep that. If I need to do that, I can. Now, just to keep it simple on myself, I have a bunch of books here. I'm not going to worry about this right now. I'm going to go with the path of least resistance, from what I can tell. Whatever. Oh. I see a bag up there. I don't know what's in it. I keep this stuff because I keep asking for help to sell things. You might need packaging because you might have to put it out in the mail. So I save it, right? And because I'm not buying anything anymore from anywhere, because I don't want to, I don't get boxes coming in with packaging and all that crap, right? But I try and keep a little bit, because, I have a, what is it called? This battery's going to die. I have a, old school, back in the day, I don't even know how many, I don't even know how old it would possibly be, but it comes from Canada Post, right? Back in the day, it must have been in the frontier times or something, where it can weigh up to 25 pounds, right? So you go to the post office, and they put it on this big-ass scale. It's in here somewhere. I know where it is. It better be there. Unless, of course, that smash and grab Rhea freaking stole it for all I know. Seriously. Anyway, it can weigh up to 25 pounds. And it specifically came from Canada Post. Yeah. So that's what I was going to use with Andre. If somebody, I have something online and they want us to mail it off to them, weigh it, teach Andre how to go online and take that weight and apply it to whatever, to find out how much the shipping is for that through Canada Post. And then, or whatever. And then, what do you call it? The person that wants to buy whatever they want, they can pay for the shipping. And I've got the packaging for it. But everybody throwing out my packaging all the time, calling it junk, not helping me to sell anything, but telling me to get rid of everything. Like, it's fucking stupid. Because they got money. Okay, I had a bag in here with bags. I'm packing up books. I'm just taking out some books downstairs. Clear off this desk. I told Andre once I clear out this room, get it back to the core of being what it was. All right, a little bit of this can go down too. And then, he can use this desk if he wants. If he really wants to put up flashy LED lights or whatever, versus moons and stars that glow in the dark, he can do that. If he wants to sleep on that mattress, he can do that. I don't think Amari and I would be sleeping on that mattress for any length of time, because I'd literally have to cage Amari in. So I don't know. Just for the fun of it. Yeah, pressure cooking. That's a very important book. Right? freeze. The Complete Home Freezer. So there's like 3 freezer books, 1 pressure cooking in a pressure canner, and I've got like a brand new little pressure canner you can cook in, plus I've got my big ass ones you can cook in if you wanted to. Right? This is school stuff. Like, if Shimei was here, do you know, I'm going to end it here and then maybe go back to the piano, because I miss my girl. I really do. If Shimei was here, out of all my kids, Shimei was the one that had the highest IQ. She was a genius, people. And you know what they say about geniuses. Sometimes they just are missing out on certain things. In other words, Shimei didn't have no game. She didn't have no life experiences. She had 3 boyfriends. The first one was a kissing boyfriend that kissed her at the SkyTrain as he was leaving work from Surrey to go into fucking Burnaby. And she'd meet him at the SkyTrain, they'd kiss, and that was the extent of their basic relationship, as she was learning how to read and write and speak his language. And she was taking the time to learn to read it, write it, and speak it, because he had a different language, right? And then she hooked up with Freddie, was with Freddie for 5 years, you know, had to be loyal, whatever. And then Julian came along, wooed her, and because she was on the rebound with Freddie and the medical kidnapping of Uncle John and yada-de-yada, she didn't see Julian for what he was, and it took her too long to break away. And when she did finally break away, and she was murdered. But if she was here, just because of her intelligence and her high IQ, she'd appreciate each and every book that is in this house. My son used to be nerdy and like books and stuff, but, you know, he went to school too early, got institutionalized, and became mediocre with his education, and lost the love of books, I guess you could say. And I don't know, like, you know, he thinks he's really smart, and he is. But if I had to say who was the smarter one between him and Shimei, Shimei was the smarter one. Yeah, Shimei was the smarter one. And that's what got her killed. And when they harvested her organs, they also took her brain. Workbook. I don't know. Matter and materials. Grade 4 to 6. Math. A lot of, oh my God, these are beautiful workbooks. What's this one? Here's a collector one. The Giant World Disney Word Book. Now this is old. And it's in mint condition. And this is what gets me into trouble with fucking people. That just, whatever. Like, I'm almost curious to see what the year is on this, if I can see it. But my eyes are really bothersome right now. Oh, look at that. Nice. Copyright. Come on, let's see if I can see this. 1971. 1971. 71. I'm 64. 71. I would have been 10. I would have been 10 years old in 72. So we take off 9 years from 64. So what is this, 55 years old or something like that? in mint condition. And I'm sitting here worrying about the police siding with CPS and the fire department because they got a point to prove. And then they're going to come back to Andre and say, let us help you. We're your quote-unquote friends. You know what I mean. Yeah, right. Friends my ass. Now, why would I want strangers doing what I'm doing? I don't. Am I going to be using this room after I clear it out, caging in Amari in that bunk bed so that we can sit in the dark? I can get behind on housework. So they can come back and say you need to clean. Yeah, right. Anyway. Yeah, if Shimei was alive. See, the difference between Shimei, Tisha, and Marcaine. If Amari was Tisha's kid, maybe it'd be different. But because Amari's not Tisha's kid, there's not that quote-unquote bond, I guess you could say. But then it's hard to say, right? Same thing with Marcaine. And that's the thing. They're having kids. And do you honestly think that when I was carrying my kids, being pregnant, that I never thought about one of them coming out with cerebral palsy due to lack of oxygen at the time of their birth? Marcaine would have been the perfect candidate because his umbilical cord was around his neck and the heartbeat would drop. But with him, it came back up and down, up and down, up and down. It was like that for over an hour. It took me an hour to push him out without an epidural. Oh my God, and he was 9 pounds. But his was coming back up as soon as the contraction was done. Where Amari's, it dropped and it never came back up. And that's why he is the way he is. Right? So, because it's not happening to them, because it's not happening to them, I don't know. It's not, they don't feel, I don't know what they feel, but it's not. Anyway. Okay. Now I'm getting hot. Ooh. Okay. Okay, I'm still in here. So, am I wrong for wanting to keep these pants, these jeans, so I can at least, well, I can do one of two. I can't use them for Amari. He can't wear these kind of pants. It's just not good for him. So I can either attempt to put a patch on it, give it to a thrift store where they'll probably just throw it out because of the way it is, or I can cut off this part at least, you know, or bring them up, or make a pair of shorts out of them, you know, because the pants themselves are good. Everything's good, right? And just cut them off from here whether I sew a hem on them or not, or just cut them off and then give them away after the fact. And then take this part, being that I need to make bean bags, and I can use fabric along with the foam or whatever, or the batting, to fill up those bean bags. Am I wrong for keeping these pants so that people can use them against me and say I have a cuckoo problem? No, what I have is a disabled child that requires certain types of equipment that I can't necessarily pay for when I can, well, hopefully make them. I got a lot of pants. Andre was rough on his pants. Look. See? Same idea. The pant itself is good. There's nothing wrong with it. So just turn them into shorts. And then keep the part that you can use to make the beanbag. So yeah, it's just another thing that's taking up space for somebody to down talk me. Right? Here's another pair. Again, these were all Andre's. Andre likes to rip up his clothes. See? And both needs are out. Well, at least one is. Either or. Same idea. Right? Right. So as I'm sorting things out, look, more batting. See? More batting. I need that. If I'm allowed to live, if I'm allowed to live and maybe live my own life, I need that. Okay? And I haven't quite finished sorting out in this room yet. I have all this Amari leaks. I need these things to put underneath him. But now that he moves around, I don't know. You can see what's going on there. Ooh, why you got that? Well, I don't know. Do you care? Clearly you don't. Okay, what's in here? I think this goes for sewing. So I think this needs to go into the sewing room. Oh no, this is Q-tips and shit. Or something. in medical stuff. Band-Aids and Q-tips and shit. Yeah. What is this? Yeah. Is that garbage? Huh? It was on top of my bed in my bunk. So that will go into the playroom, into the closet with all the extra emergency, that kind of stuff that you wouldn't use very often. But if the shit hit the fan and you needed it, yeah. So I'm not taking any of this out because it's all toys in there for the most part right now. What about that? Can actually use it. There's a penny in it. And I'll just put it right there. Oh, now my ear is ringing. What's this? Oh my God. I think this is diaper wipes that I recycled. I washed them when I used to wipe him down, right? And he just peed. I washed the diaper wipes. And these were Pampers, and they come out really nice. So you can use them to wet them and then dust and, wipe things down. So I'll keep that in here to wipe things down, but it will be sticking out, and I'm afraid that might be a problem. See, you develop psychological problems from this shit, right? Okay, so here we're at now. All books, but then this is a computer. That's a XP, because I have a lot of CDs, right? This one over here somewhere, I don't see it. There's a little screen there, but there's a Windows 7. I actually have two computers here, right? Yeah, because I have the old school CDs from 1999, 1995 and up. Children's, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to set up a Windows 7 downstairs for Andre with a printer on it. I told him you can learn how to make flyers, you can learn how to make business cards with that, or whatever, right? I have old school GIFs that you can import into making a website, right? Because these computers can do floppy disk too, right? Teach them what floppy disks are. I have floppy disks that have tons of little GIFs on them that he can learn how to use to add on to his quote-unquote website, assuming that he even gets that far in life. Because, Anyway. And then this stuff in here, yeah, eventually we'll go downstairs too, because, right, this was only temporary. Some of it came out of my room, like that came out of my room. And, yeah. Anyway. I have all these books. Right? I don't know what's going on there. That's a little, what is that? That's a, helicopter, right? These ones, they're all up in here, right? As well as over there. Okay, so I'm going to end this video right here, because the fire exit is backed up with all this shit that's going downstairs, which is now just starting to be scattered around, which will just become another fucking heat score, right? Because I'm not getting a chance to sort things out as I'm moving things around, quote unquote, and rearranging and reorganizing. Yeah, and that's part of the plan, right? That's the setup, right? So in the meantime, I just wanted to, for the newcomers at the X Club, whatever club you're joining here, the room that I'm working in right now was Shemay's room. The genius in the house. The one that had the highest IQ. That taught herself how to read music, play music, wanted to learn different languages, not only speak, but write as well as read, and would go as far as to self-educate herself for that. Did basically homeschooling for years because I had problems within the public school system trying to put their thumb on her, and yada-yada. So for the most part she did homeschooling, and she ended up going back into grade 10 on her own and walked out with at the top 10 percentile of honors in grade 12. Was helping the teacher in the grade 12 class marking papers where 80% of the kids couldn't do proper English in grade 12. And then because of the illegal apprehension of Andre, that was really hard on her when she was 17 in the middle of high school, but she still pulled in honors because she was a genius. But the thing is, when they took Andre, the room that I'm working in right now was her room. If they would have never have kicked out Andre's mother out into the streets in the middle of winter, disconnected her from her support system, her home, her child, her family, her money, her food, her clothing, right? Her methadone. she wouldn't have turned into a junkie 10 days after being wrongly accused of something. Well, she wasn't wrongly accused. She was accused of not coming home, and the social worker wanted to teach her a lesson and told her that if she did come home, because she needs to learn a lesson, they were going to come in with the police and take out Andre. So, of course, she chose not to come home, and then because she was out on the streets, and I was left with Andre and everybody up in arms because the social worker was going whatever the social worker was doing, I was doing what I could for Sierra, taking her clothes, giving her money, giving her food, but I couldn't give her housing, and I couldn't help her with her methadone because she was right. She was right, and it was Christmas time. It was going into Christmas time, so if you know anything about methadone and prescriptions, it's really hard to get prescriptions. And so yeah, she didn't get her methadone, and within 10 days somebody shot her up with heroin, and that was it. She was a junkie for 8 years, living on the streets as people were committing pharmacare fraud with her healthcare number through the healthcare system. Anyway, of course I had to fight for Andre, right? And one of the stipulations was, well, they left him in my care for temporarily, but I started talking to a lawyer, right? That's what happened. I started talking to a lawyer saying, what the hell is going on here? I don't understand it. Yada-dee-ya-ya. And they said that the social workers were working towards trying to, get Andre so that they could put him up for adoption. And I needed to put in application for custody ASAP, because if everything went south, right, I'd have no grounds to stand on, right? So I said something to the social worker about, well, I'm thinking to go get a lawyer because, I'm making inquiries, right? Because I don't know what the hell's going on. I've never been through this before. All I know is my vulnerable daughter's out on the streets now doing drugs, right? And they're telling me I have to put Andre in a room by himself. So Shimei had to go downstairs. Right? Anyway, long story short, they illegally apprehended him within a month in a daycare setting. And then, of course, I went and did the custody thing. That's the only reason I got onto the party of the proceedings of, being a party of the proceedings, was because when they served Sierra, I served them with, an application for custody with Sierra's permission at that time. So that's the only reason I got on the file. So they tried to blow me off for as long as they could and try to make it was just about the parents, which was a bunch of fucking boo-boo crock. Anyway, as I was fighting to try and get Andre back, Shimei had to go downstairs. And that room that I'm working in, people, sat empty for 15 months. And because Shimei went downstairs into Sierra's old room, to whom Sierra got, whatever, and then now Sierra's, strung out on drugs, right along with Austin, Andre's father, and they kept sneaking into the room that was now Shimei's, because nobody was in Shimei's room, because I had to keep it empty to prove to social services that I had an available room for him so that we could get him back home. And they strung it out for 15 months, people. And even then, they cut me a deal in the end because I was taking it to the Supreme Court, and they didn't want it to go to the Supreme Court. So my lawyer came to me after 15 months and said, look, blah, 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 right? You don't want to take it to trial, because if you take it to trial, you're not going to get Andre back for another 6 months, blah, blah, or whatever. And it had already been 15 months. So here's the deal. Take the deal. Cut your losses. So I did. I took the deal. I got my grandson back home. And then, and through all of that drama, and Shimei became suicidal. Everybody in this freaking house became suicidal because of what these social workers did to us, because we were happy before that happened. My girls were working at McDonald's and going to, Shimei was pulling in honors and just whatever. Sierra was doing good. She wasn't doing drugs. She was a good mom. She just wasn't coming home as much because, Joan Duncan was downstairs, Uncle John's freaking wife, who was just causing so many problems and just whatever. And the social workers, they got that little bit of information and they fucking ran with it. And they did. They changed the course of my family, and that's when it really started to fall apart. Okay? And they haven't stopped, people. So what I'm trying to say is the room that I'm clearing out right now will sit empty again, for the most part, for what Amari brings to the table when it comes to his special needs. Okay? So, like, I can almost guarantee you it won't be used that much, but it's destroying my eyesight. What little eyesight. You have to remember, I only got 13 to 15% vision in this one eye. That's it. This one is nothing but a spare wheel that's a flat freaking tire. Okay? You know what I'm saying? I see something moving. I know it's my hand, but if I didn't know it was my hand, I couldn't tell you what the hell it is, because everything in front of it is black. This is not doing well. Maybe the membrane is coming off. Oh, but don't worry. We'll have our certified workers come in and pack it up for you and put it in temporary storage. Yeah, sure. And then what? I'll never see it again. Ever. And I won't know what the hell went into storage. Ever. As the fight continues to pick on me, because I'm the so-called problem, maybe I'd like to keep my pressure cooker book so that when we get it organized downstairs, I got this brand new pressure canner. It's just a little one, right? That I've never opened. It's in the bathroom, up on the shelf. Okay, because I use my bigger ones, right? I don't cook in pressure canners. I just do canning. But you know what? It would be really nice to look in that book with Andre or whoever and use that little pressure canner to make some food. But it's the crime of the freaking century, because it means that we own something. It means that we're doing something that we enjoy doing. It means that we can become self-sufficient with that quote-unquote little pressure canner, even if it meant that we had to use it outside because the grid went down and that was the only thing that we had to cook in, and we only had a little bit of fuel. You understand what I'm saying here? Hell, we could use a pressure canner if we set up a freaking solar oven if we wanted to. But no, that's too street smart, you know what I'm saying? That shows too much independence. That's not what they want for us people. Instead, they want that thing to be sitting in storage getting all moldy, so that you go online and Google, well, how do you use a pressure canner to cook potatoes and ribs? But make sure you pay for that information first, because books are obsolete. There's no intelligence with books anymore. It's all AI. Oh, I guess you have to ask Alexa. She'll tell you how to use a pressure canner to cook ribs and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, people. This is what I'm up against. As both Andre and I are feeling sick, getting sick, waiting for the police to show up, because they're not going to side with us. They're not going to side with us. They're going to side with their cohorts. With the beehive, right? They're going to stick with their beehive. It's not even a beehive. They don't make honey. They don't bring anything good to the table. And if they do, there's a price to pay for it. And even then, if you step off the path, oh, God forbid. God forbid. You better be careful. Oh, yeah. You better be freaking careful. What kind of life is that? Is that what people want? The only people that get green lights around in freaking British Columbia, Canada, and elsewhere are the crooks. The higher-ups, you watching my videos? Why don't you do something about what happened to Andre when he was illegally apprehended? All right? You understand what I'm saying? And it went to court. It got thrown out of court. Why? Why? Statute of limitation? No, there is no statute of limitation for Andre. He can do it for himself when he gets older. What are you going to do? Stalk him when he's older? Make it hard for him? Right? You already know he's a damaged child. You damaged him when you freaking took him away from his family. right? And I've been trying to pick up the pieces around that. But he's not a bad kid. But you guys treat him like, yeah, we're gonna go across the street and deal with those kids, little pyromaniacs and little thugs that run around with sticks and stones and stalking Andre. How about that? And sending him Snapchats. Oh, gang, fuck you at the house. Like, what the hell? Andre doesn't even go out. Like, come on. He stays far away from those damn kids. But those kids can't leave him alone because they're the little next generation of hoodlums who are going to turn out to be the next freaking crack addicts that are going to go into methamphetamine, and then it's going to go into, well, they don't even have heroin anymore. It's fentanyl. Bypass the heroin, and we'll just tell you that it's heroin when they're giving them freaking fentanyl. Just more dead kids. That's all. That's all that's going to be. And then blame the victim. Blame the kids. Victimize the victims twice. They did it to themselves. They should have known better at 14 years old, 15 years old, 16, 17, 18 years old. Must have been their parents. Their parents were bad. Whatever. You know, this little jacket here, I'm going to end it, okay? Because that room is just going to sit fucking empty. I'm going blind to make another empty room that's going to sit fucking empty. Pretty much. And for what? Okay, you see this little jacket? It's a little leather jacket. I don't think it fits Amari anymore. I really don't. It's cute. It's in perfect shape. Look how nice it is. Is this garbage? How many times do you have to tell me my shit's garbage? I guess it's garbage. Should I just take it in the bag and throw it in with the dirty diapers? Or do I have the right to save it and maybe give it to either my son, because he has a little boy, and I can say, son, here's a little jacket for your son. It's a little leather one. Why not? You know? Or maybe Tisha, if she has another little boy. Because Amari don't need it no more. But why am I forced to be throwing it out? Or putting it in fucking storage temporarily so that it disappears? Because you know it will disappear. Right? Because it will be something else. I want to go to my storage. You can't because, you just don't want to bring no more home stuff. It's got emptied out, Mom. It's gone now. What do you mean it's gone? Well, I don't know. Somebody raided it. It's empty. There you go. It's gone. I'm just saying. And because I don't want it to be gone, I'm overworking myself. And I'm getting stressed out. Another bag of clothes for baby. I won't even bother giving it to Marcane because, mist up in the nose, sticking in the air, is garbage, But Tisha might pick through it, and then the rest she can give to somebody else. The bag is already huge like this. I got beautiful sleepers in those bags. I could sell those sleepers for $3, $4, $5 a pop. But I was going to say, take them all. Because I'm being ran out of my house, I'm being ran out of my province, and I'm being ran out of my freaking country. Because the ones that are pushing Maid are circling around me like freaking vultures. Yeah. So we'll end it up on this little dude right here. I have to stand up, though. What about this guy? He was in the living room for years and years and years and years and years and years. My Tigger. Some kind of Tigger. Well, he's not a Tigger. He's not a tiger. He's a, what is that called? A spotted leopard. Leopard? Leopard. Yeah? Tigers are stripes. Leopards are dots. So anyway, Amari pulled him down. Because I had him hanging up. And because Amari can kind of stand up in a weird kind of way. Right? He ended up pulling the bloody thing down. So it's been sitting up in that room. Because I couldn't take it downstairs. Because I was locked out of my own house. Basically. So I'm taking it now downstairs. Whether I give it away, whether I sell it, whether I put it on the road, because I had this huge ass, big ass teddy bear. Ended up putting that on the road, and that was gone in a heartbeat. Oh yeah, that was just boom, gone. You think somebody's just not going to pick up this little happy dude? Of course, they're going to drive by. Oh, no, I'm going to take that home to my kid. Oh, but it's not garbage for them, though, is it? But it's garbage for me, eh? How does that work? Like, I take this shit personal, right? I'm 64 years old. I'm being treated like I'm, I don't know, worse than freaking roadkill. Yeah, shaking in my boots, wondering which side the cops are going to stand on. Are they going to stand for justice, or are they going to stand for malfeasance? Which one? Right? And the abuse of authority. Yeah, I'm just saying. Oh. I'm trying not to get scared. And I'm trying not to cry now because I'm getting tired, right? So I'm being overworked. And I just feel like it's a losing freaking battle here. And I can see the same game playing itself out because I'm clearing out a room that ain't nobody going to really be using. And then what's next? Right? What is next? And then even if everything calms down, how is it going to spring up again? I might not recover. I might have to go back for surgery. Who knows? And then what? Game over. Game over, and then what the hell am I sticking around for? I won't. Because I didn't do this to myself, people. I'm not the one covering up murder. I'm not the one covering up illegal organ harvesting. I'm not the one covering up freaking illegal evictions, whether it was in 2003 under legislation that was illegal to begin with and hadn't even been into effect when they cut me off of welfare and threw me out in the streets in the middle of winter with 5 kids and a blind man, and then repeat the process with Sierra in 2012 and threw her out, and then stole Andre and split his brain through trauma, as the rest of my family practically killed themselves off because they were so damn depressed, as the government used that against us when we get murdered to say, well, Shemaine was, she was depressed. She murdered herself. It says right here, when she was 17 years old. Yeah, well, when she was 17 years old, that's when you guys were turning around and stealing Andre. So wouldn't you be depressed if somebody came in and stole your kid? Mistreated you? You'd be depressed. But some of these individuals, they don't have feelings. They're devoid of feelings. They're devoid of compassion. They have no sympathy, absolutely zero empathy. They have nothing. They're soulless, like a robotoid. Or a fucking shapeshifter. Something like a lizard, a shape-shifting lizard. Yeah, cold blood. Yeah. I'm just saying. Like, why would you even want to be a social worker to do shit like this? And then act like you can walk away with a conscience. Yeah, right. And blame other people for it. Pass the buck. Well, that's what the government likes to do. They like to offload. It's called offloading. Yeah. Huh. So, I guess if I go blind, I go blind. And you won't be able to go file, you won't be able to go see those lawyers that do, like, injury, like if you got into a car accident and you got injured. Those lawyers, they don't take you out here in British Columbia, Canada. Hell no. They want the fast money, the big money that comes in from the ICBC claims through car crashes. Personal injury, right? When it comes to personal injury, maybe on the job site, where the corporation is big and there's money to suck out of it through, that process. But for someone like me, good luck. They can injure you. They can stomp on you. They can do anything and everything they want to do to you. And they'll never be held to account. Never. 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 No. Nope, because the government covers it up. And then they use their gang stalkers to cover it up even more. Or they just simply ignore it and call you frivolous and a waste of the court's time, or you're scandalous. In this situation, I'm quote-unquote scandalous because I like to keep little things like this in the event of that I could give it to one of my kids, because it won't fit Amari anymore. I don't think so. Just barely. Just barely. If that. But it doesn't warrant it being garbage. And for people to keep ramming that shit in my head. Yeah. They know I've only had surgery for 4 weeks. So I'm thinking, well, maybe they're using me as a little test subject to see if overworking destroys the eye faster. Because if I survive, we'll see the next time they do that surgery on somebody else, they can lower that 6 to 8 week healing time down to 4 weeks. Yeah. Why give me why tell me 6 to 8 weeks for this to heal, and I'm still working telling my doctor I have no choice because of blah blah blah, and he's saying, okay, well, yeah, you'll be fine. What else is he gonna say? I have to work, right? I have to, right? But what I'm doing is beyond working now. I'm being overworked. There's a difference. And even then, I was overdoing it, right? Because I was, quote unquote, trying to be responsible, you know, get ahead of shit. Yeah, sure. Anyway. And, you know, the videos, they don't care about the videos because, you know, that's, once you get to the courthouse, don't forget these judges, it's that, you know, they're all bought and paid for. It's all sealed and delivered. It's a slam dunk. Doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't matter what it is. I think the word justice is obsolete. I really do. Now that's a word that's obsolete. It should be taken out of the dictionary and people should forget even how to pronounce it, spell it, never mind understand what it's supposed to mean, because it doesn't mean jack crap. Nope. Nothing. It's a farce. Yeah. It's a farce. If Shimei would never have been forced out of that room, Shimei would been on a different path, and she'd be here today. Yeah, she'd be here today. Terrible battery. I can't take it out. Camera's too old. It got dropped a few times, right? Yeah, no, Shimei was a genius. They didn't want a genius running around fighting for justice, being that she understood what the word justice meant, because she was helping me with Uncle John's paperwork. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, there was one other thing I was going to say. I don't know what it was. Outside of, I don't know what's going on with my eye. I just know that in the last 2.5 days, something changed. It could simply just be stress, and like I got some heavy shit I have to carry down. I got books, already 2 bags full. Probably fill out 1 more at least. And I am taking some of my clothes that are already in bins or whatever, and I'm putting them in the playroom. And I just tell these dudes, you know, I need to empty this out, I need to empty that out. Quite possibly all those books need to go out so I can organize my clothes in there, decide if there's anything that is worth trying to sell. I am not setting up a business here, people. I am liquidating my life so I end up with nothing. Practically nothing. The best case scenario for me, after it's all said and done, assuming that I survive and I live, is to be with Amari in an environment where we're actually, both of us, are being cared for by a loving person that doesn't want to hurt us, so that we can keep each other company in our small little worlds. Or That's the best case scenario. But I don't see that in the cards. With all these negative individuals around me, I don't care who they are. So, I don't know. I don't want to dwell on the negative, right? I don't want to predict the bad, right? And the ugly. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and keep you in the loop. But, you know, I'm in the mix of Shimei's room, and this is deja vu for me. Get out, Shimei. Get out of the room. You can't have your room. You got to go downstairs into your sister's room because she got illegally evicted. Yeah, and then what happened? Sierra kept coming in and taking over the room, brought in Austin, while Shimei's in the school, trying to bring in honors, right? While the social workers are playing mind effery on us, canceling appointments out on the girls and accusing the girls of this and whatever and whatever and whatever. I don't have the stamina for that crap. Starting up all over again. And then what? Mrs. Gill will come in here with the bin when my son will help her to throw everything out. Yeah, okay. I'm not. You think I'd honestly stick around to see that happen? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He'll be too busy looking after Amari. His whole life will change just like that. Yeah. And he'll be jumping through hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop. Yeah. Feeling what I'm feeling. And then he'll be like, damn, now I know what Mom was going through. But by that time it will be too late. Because I'll probably gone by then. Yeah. 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 Do they plan on putting me in that involuntary care facility because I'm blind and I can't navigate on the streets no more? To save me from myself? Yeah, okay, sure. Sure. Give me some experimental freaking healthcare services? Yeah, okay, sure. I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to end this video and just calm down for a minute. And then I'm going to just do another hours. Because you don't forget, I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning. What time is it now? Almost noon. Almost noon. So I've been going, right? You know, dealt with Amari and pulling and lifting and, you know, and now I'm doing more and you just, it does. It's affecting my eye. Because I'm overdoing it. Yeah. I want like a, I don't know what I want. Anyway, all right.